by saying the best way to understand a tradition, in my estimation, is what they call through the normative practice in comparative religions. I studied that. My undergraduate work was in comparative religion, and I noticed that teachers tended to take one of two routes. They would either use the class as a way of analyzing a teaching, allowing the teaching to speak for itself, or they would use the class, well, there are probably more than two, but the basic two, where they would use the class to to superimpose their prejudices on the tradition and really tell what they thought about the religion instead of allowing the tradition to speak for itself. And one of the best ways to do that, and it will seem like they're being objective, but it's actually quite, and I don't know if there's malintent, and I'm not going to get into that, but one of the best ways of doing that is to look at a religion from what they term a descriptive approach, which is where instead of looking at what the religion says, you look at what the people who practice it do. And then you can just explore a lot of problematic aspects of any teaching. You can say if you have a bone of contention with Catholicism, you'll really emphasize in your course on the Inquisition and how horrific the Catholics were.
That's true, but the problem is that to the non-believer, one looks and sees that which is being practiced or being practiced upon. You can say that all religions, preach humility and love thy neighbor, and all of the things that we would consider as positive. But if you are being harassed or being told what to do in the name of God, you tend to focus on that. How does one get out from that?
Well, yeah, and these are good points, and this is why people will often focus on that. And we live particularly in an age when secularism has become quite dominant, and the religious worldview, certainly in the West, has taken a back seat. But my point of bringing that out is that I would prefer that anyone who looked at a tradition, and this is my practice with any religious tradition, is to look first and foremost at how the tradition itself is articulating itself, how the tradition is describing itself, irrespective of how it's been practiced in the past by people, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, or Buddhism, and then to move into a descriptive examination of the teaching, of how has this teaching impacted human cultures. So I think both views are valid, but when there is an emphasis on one as opposed to the other, I think that's going to lead to some very serious misconceptions with any tradition. And that on top of biases that people might have, so they'll examine certain areas to the exclusion of other areas. So what I would like to do is look at a few verses in the Quran dealing with the idea of Islam, the word itself, in the Quran. And the first one is